and welcome back to Leeds United, where you may be expecting a Carabao Cup final. You are getting one, but boy did I go through a journey to find out what we were actually going to be playing today. Firstly, since we last met, PSG, Atletico, we did beat Manchester City 2-1. It was a comeback. Milovanovic and Dominic Szoboszlai, our ever faithful two best players, quite frankly, getting that one sorted. Maxi Gomez by himself dealt with Rotherham. Crystal Palace, a disappointing draw. West Ham, a well-fought win, quite frankly. We did score in the first half, but grinded that one out in the end. And 4-1 away at Southampton, relegated Southampton, just to remind people. 2 from Gagliardini, 2 from Milovanovic. But to explain my confusion, we'll start with that Southampton FA Cup fifth round, because that game, when it was put into my schedule, moved the EFL Cup final, the Carabao Cup final as we know it. Yeah, somehow the FA Cup fifth round took precedence over a final. FM23 is a perfectly working game. The FA final moved to the beginning of April, after both Champions League legs and after what is now the FA Cup quarter-final. It was at the beginning of April. The Man United game moved around a little bit as well. And you may remember the Champions League, which you can see we've also got Manchester City again, because of course we did. You can see those Champions League games previously sandwiched a Chelsea match. Yeah, that's now in April as well. But what moved the FA Cup final back into a sensible place was the fact that Wolves progressed in their European competition, the Europa League. Their games are a little bit later than our Champions League games and pushed the FA Cup final back to the beginning of March. And then once our Champions League games were committed, that moved the Chelsea game out of the way instead. It's been a process. In fact, actually, it might have been the FA Cup quarter-final that moved the Chelsea game. I can't fully remember. It's been a thing. But what that means is 2 victories and a draw, not necessarily the ones you're expecting in the Premier League, keep us second. Also, I have finally remembered to update my skin. Thank you, Sass, for sorting that out again. It appears that we appear in green now rather than purple. It is more noticeable. I'll take it. We're still 4 points behind, but they've got a game in hand now because we've dropped 2 points. And it does pose a problem for the continuing factors of this save. If we don't win the Premier League or the Champions League, I don't know what to do. If we win either of those, then we'll just wrap up the series there. That's fine, not an issue. But if we don't win either of them, I'm in an odd spot because this Liverpool team seem practically impossible to beat long term. They have lost 2 games this season, one of them to us. But over the course of a season, FM23 seems to punish you way more than it does the AI. So, I don't know. A team like this, a team that's playing the way this Liverpool team are, you can see even Everton fell off there. If we go back to the table, you can see they're a good portion of points behind us now, and they were sort of running with Liverpool in the early stages. Liverpool have won the league by a good margin in the last 2 years, and they're continuing to be that good. It's just that we've sort of bridged the gap to the rest of the division now. It's going to take at least one more season to get anywhere near Liverpool levels. So I don't really know what to do on that front. But we can make a good go of the EFL Cup final, which is Wolves, of course, as mentioned. And then there's an FA Cup that we're still competing in. And then there's a Champions League that we're still competing in. We just got to get past Manchester City over 2 legs. But we've actually brought you back in the build-up to the Carabao Cup final because I kind of want to do it as a solo match. We will be back to 3 episodes this week, just to say. And then we can leave the Champions League either side of the Forest match. Apparently, Pedro Neto is the only other topic that is worth talking about other than the final itself. A number of people will agree that your win over Walsall was the highlight of Leeds United's run to the final. Did they not see the semi-finals against Arsenal? Wolves will have to cope without Pedro Neto. Fitness and condition seem to be fine according to the thing in the corner, so I'm guessing suspension somehow. Recent form analysis, interesting. Don't get this very often. We're showing a good touches to shots ratio when we get into the opposition's penalty area, but giving up too many in ours. Excellent. Hang on a second. But giving up too many in ours. Immediately followed by, we're doing very well in limiting the number of times the opposition touch the ball in our penalty area. Which one is it? We're either giving up too many or doing very well. One or the other. Make your mind up. We've scored none of our 23 shots attempted from outside the penalty area. Might be just because Dominic's getting a little bit closer to the goal now, on average. I think this, actually, right here, sums up FM23 quite nicely. Goal scoring spells, 9 of 12 goals have been scored whilst enjoying possession for 60 to 70 seconds, despite most commonly keeping the ball between 20 and 30. I think that's a very good representation of the match engine in its current state. Possession changes over obviously quite regularly, and that, to be fair, not too dissimilar to real-world statistics, that I'd imagine, 20 to 30 seconds. But you only typically score a goal if you keep the possession yourself for a very long time. I think we get the best reaction if we ease the pressure on the players and tell them they're not expected to win. Yes, in the general scheme of things, Leeds United probably not, even though we're doing well in the league and have done well in the league the last couple of years, probably not expected to win a trophy. But given the context of the team we're playing, I think we're being a little harsh on ourselves there. But I'll go with what they say because that's what they'll do. We should win it, but the game, once again, being flawless. Because obviously what he's doing is saying, like, you know, we are the 7th best team in the division. We're not expected to win a trophy, but none of the 6 teams ahead of us are the team that we're playing. Also, in case you forgot, Pep did take over Arsenal. We did play them, of course, with him at the helm. I did mention it then, but just in case you forgot, that's a thing that happened. Also, Kai Havertz is regarded as Man City's 2nd best player. Why is Kai Havertz that good? Oh, thank God for that. I never mentioned this, but Bayern Munich wanted Carnesecchi. I think it's because someone signed Newball, and it's someone we played as well. West Ham, I believe, signed Newball from them. I don't know why. I guess Neuer's retired at this point. But Bayern Munich went in for Carnesecchi. I rebuffed them 3 times. Then they went in for Mama. I rebuffed them twice because they went nowhere near my value. And I don't know who they ended up with in the end. I think they went in for Spurs' goalkeeper. But it says a lot they went for both of my goalkeepers first. Neuer's still there, but 39. Yeah, he's still a really good goalkeeper. The top end of his attributes aren't fantastic. But I do need to talk about Carnesecchi because he has developed dramatically over the course of this half of the season. So I've already highlighted the fact he can now see, which is great. And none of his main attributes are under 10 anymore. Some of the key attributes, area reach, command of area, communication, handling, positioning, I think, all of those ones I think have also gone up by 1. He is now quite phenomenal in some of those specific areas. 17 jumping reach, with a very good agility of 15 as well. Like a great just full-on shot stopper. He's pretty solid. His distribution still isn't great, but as a shot stopper, phenomenal. Even his one-on-ones are 15 now as well. Just the composure of 11, a little bit off, and the acceleration isn't fantastic. But other than that, I still don't understand his value. He just needs reputation, basically, is what the problem is. He just needs reputation. And of course, one of the main problems is he's never going to usurp Donnarumma as the goalkeeper. I think we might, actually, for the first time in 2 months, 2 and a bit months, have all 6 strikers available. Because Makoko, who did come back first, got injured again and is now available for 45. Pedro came back and has not been injured yet again. So I think all of them are now officially back. So we could switch to a 3. But quite frankly, I've been enjoying the 3 midfielders, especially now that Adams is back as well. And I think for a final, I might go for the slightly more cautiously defensive version of what I typically like to play, especially with no Livramento, who is injured. I quite like that, a little bit extra protection in the midfield. Of course, I still get warned about the gap between the strikers and the midfielders because apparently football without an attacking midfielder no longer exists. I'm actually not sure I want Makoko on the bench because Gomez does have 11 goals and 16 starts. And Nketiah is the question mark, even though his average rating is ridiculously good, 5 goals in 26. Well, the 2 strikers we're starting with today, Pedro, 12 in 18 starts, Milovanovic, 21 goals in 21 starts. Meanwhile, Zobazai in the middle, 16 goals in 27. I don't get it. But those back 3 seemingly playing quite alright at the moment. Carnesecchi in goal and Diko Cresswell Milenkovic at the right ball-playing defender. Valeri, who is playing, of course, now we've got him in. I left you on that particular note last time round. He's good, and his value is insane. 55 million up front, 6 million if he plays 50 games, but blimey, that value. So Götzschling will start on the other side as well. Albanaz is on the bench. Adams, Zobazlai, Almada will make the 3 in midfield, because why wouldn't they? Where's Joelinton in all this? Not even on the bench. That probably ought to be Gagliardini. Out, Joelinton in. There we go. Submit that team. Wolves in reasonable form as well, but I mean 2 losses in 5, depending on who they're against, isn't necessarily the worst thing. Bento in goal, don't recognise that person. Keep forgetting they have the Lenglet for some bizarre reason. They have signed more Portuguese players, so that is interesting that the games continue to do that even without it. I don't have any of the modified sort of realism files. I am tempted to use them in the next save. It's worth saying I might have realism files in my next save, which we probably need to start talking about soon. I do know what I'm going to do, but a good solid 10 minutes gone without any fuss. That's always fun. We'll give them a encourage and see if that triggers anything that resembles a highlight. There's the advice as always. I mean, we've had half an hour. I've not seen any highlights. I do have highlights on. Thought I'd just check the progressive passes out of curiosity. Yep, they're going solidly as well, so my assistant manager knows nothing, and that's half time. Why is it the best players are the ones with the lowest ratings right now? Flash arms, I'm far from pleased. Sort your lives out. Milenkovic with a solid rating, Zobazlai with a solid rating, Götzschling's done well, he's got a yellow card, so I think he's out of the next league game. Cresswell, Armada hooks it to Gotchling, and we've got a highlight very close to the beginning of the second half. And it's actually gone to Wolves, but we've got the ball back. We've still got the ball back. Worried me for a second there. And Dicker keeps hold of possession. That's a sentence I am thankful to read, considering the highlight that preceded that. And Dicker hooks it out to Valeri, who's in all of the space and all of the time. Pedro doesn't get to him, unfortunately, but Adams gets that loose touch, but he gives it straight back to them because why would you ever try to keep hold of the ball? Kilman, Semedo, finds Garner Gay for some reason. I don't know what he's doing, A, at Wolves, or B, there precisely on the pitch. Horter. And that's a goal for them because nobody tries to do defending and nobody jumps. Nobody jumps. Was it offside? Generally no idea. But none of my players jump. Only Guedes attempts to actually do something with the ball there. It is insane. This is the decisions from my defenders. And Dicker is there. Cresswell is here. It's actually Valeri, the one that's with him, I think. None of my central defenders attempt to stop that. You know, the people who are supposed to be furthest back on the pitch. And Valeri inexplicably plays them onside as well, just for good measure. Their only shot on target, worth pointing out, of course. Gosling, Milovanovic, maybe this will stick a rocket up my players' arses collectively. Cresswell, Milenkovic, Almada. We find Gotchling eventually. He was just giving it away. Because why would you ever try and control the ball with your feet? Gay. Just straight through to Horter. That's bounded off him weirdly. Nearly scores. If I got murdered by the engine there, I'd have been so annoyed. Can I berate my players for a 1-0 loss here? As my assistant manager tells me we're controlling the game well. Not well enough. Milovanovic. There's Pedro. He's cleaning. He's done something weird with the ball, but he's put it in the goal eventually. Not quite sure what that little flick-up was all about, but we got there in the end. Thank you, Zhao. I mean, this is textbook, this formation, quite frankly. Just passing it inwards there, and their first touch is odd, but gets away with it because, similarly, their defenders don't want to seem to defend either. I will say, getting frustrated with my defenders, it is a universal issue. It's not just your team, but it does seem to happen to your team more. What the flip? I tried to buy that player, by the way, I think. What the heck is this? I tried to buy Matthias Nuge, if that's how it's pronounced. I think he wanted stupid wages. Immediate highlight from their goal. I don't even know how it went in. Pedro finds Dominic. He's got one more chance to push it in, but that's... Well, he's pointing to the spot. I'm fairly certain it's outside the box. And if it is outside the box, then I'm kind of annoyed he hasn't played advantage there because we were still on the ball. Oh, it is in the box. It's a penalty. Cool. We'll take that then. Dominic, to add to his tally of 16 goals, I think only 6 of them up to this point are penalties, but he's not missed one yet. And by God, did he leather that one. And that was from the kickoff as well. Could someone check the net after this? Because flipping heck, that might be the best penalty I've ever seen, real or not. Valeri, corner. He's not that good at them, but he is left-footed. So he's a competent player if Skov's not starting to do that. Semedo. I did sort the corner situation out, by the way. Pedro's got the ball off their right back, but football manager doesn't know what to do with loose balls, so he just goes straight back to him. Lenglet, Andre, Garner, Ricardo Horter. I think that's the Andre from Lille, by the way, in case you're wondering. Milenkovic does get it to Cresswell. Thought Raul Jimenez was about to get in the way of that. I would say Wolves' team is somewhat aging at this point across the board. Jimenez, 33 or 4 at this stage. Andre's obviously mid-30s. Gay's mid-30s. Valeri's now in the box. Adams leathers it. Thank you. First goal of the season for him. I mean, we've definitely got the... If there was an option for it to just shoot with force, then we've got it on at the moment because, blimey, it's sort of just like get the ball vaguely into the box and just smash it is apparently the direction we're taking today. But Adams with his first goal of the season. Valeri with an assist. Armada's on a 6.5. This is possibly his worst game of the season. Okay, well, there's a highlight which concerningly starts with Ricardo Horter in our box. But Armada is tired, so I'm going to get Awara on. Just purely because he's a red card risk, I'm getting Albanos on for Gotchling, who hasn't played badly, realistically, but no idea what happened there then. I'm going to do the rest of these based on tiredness. Joel Linton? Oh, do I take Szoboszlai off? I don't want to. I think in case they get a third, I want to keep Szoboszlai on. Just in case they get a... I'm going to praise this late stage. I don't really know if it's a good thing to do, a 3-2, but we've had 11 shots on target, but we got there. The first domestic silverware. We did win the Conference League, just to remind people, but the first domestic silverware after the disappointing demolition of ourselves in the Europa League final last season. We've won the next final we came up against, and it's Wolves here, and they've been... This is where 3D kits really work, by the way. our custom 3D kits with our new sponsors. Does anyone do cartwheels anymore? Just want to... There we go. There goes number 19. We'll find out who that is afterwards. One of the forward players, I imagine. Might be Milovanovic. No, he's 11. It was Awar who did the cartwheel. Awar had a reasonably big bid as well. From Everton. He didn't really want to go, so it was all fine. PSG nearly turned Ndicka's head as well, but I got him... You saw that one. I got him to agree to a ridiculous... If they make this value, then you can go offer of like 106 million, and they never went anywhere near close to it. They did get to like 70 odd. Well, there we are then. 100 grand for winning that. I can see why people don't bother. And the two people who are still on their original contracts get the payout. When does his run out? End of next season. Those original contracts with all the ridiculous amount of bonuses for some bizarre reason? Yeah. Adams is still on his. Bamford's still on his, but his contract's up at the end of the year, and he's agreed to go to Empoli. I can't imagine with a natural fitness of 11, he's going to hold on too much longer to those physicals that do remain. But yeah, I'll be sad to lose him from a mentorship position, but I can't really begrudge him going at 32. He'll be 33 basically by the time the next season starts. So yes, the small matter of Manchester City next time out. We'll gloss over Forest in between those. Apologies to Forest fans. You can join the Bournemouth fans from the previous episode in your annoyance there, along with the Burton Albion fans, the one before that. So it's not like I don't have a track record of doing this. And quite frankly, episodes after that will entirely hinge on where future rounds of the Champions League, should we progress, fall. If not, I do see Liverpool away. That's kind of the pivotal match for the Premier League. Before we go, I do want to just check, do Liverpool play much more in the way of the Big Six? Okay, they have Man City immediately next. And they are having to... I mean, look at this. Look at this. They had 3 losses in a row. I thought we'd shaken them there, quite frankly, but madness. Utter madness. Arsenal 4-1. Brom, Brentford 5-0 Newcastle, 4-0 Bournemouth, 5-1 Forest, 4-0 Forest, 4-1. Like, they don't just win. They win well, except for Ipswich, weirdly. Probably a rotation there. They've even put 3 past Atletico away from home. I don't understand how I'm going to outdo this team. Oh, Salah with a 94th minute equaliser there as well, way back at the beginning of September. They weirdly lost to Bristol City, though, in the EFL Cup. Football Manager, summed up right there, I think. But this is madness. I mean, there's some sort of fortunate Champions League fixtures in this towards the end of their run in that, but, you know, Rosenborg and Osijek. But do have Man City at home, Newcastle away, Arsenal away, Chelsea at home. I've got to say, Everton away as well, of course, the way they're playing at the moment too. In fact, it's ourselves and Everton back-to-back. That's second and third in the league. It's not the easiest run for them, but I've also seen harder. I'd say ours is slightly tougher than that as well. I just can't see a way where Liverpool don't win this title again. The best way of getting a nice conclusion to this beta save is a Champions League win, which is a tough ask when your opponents are Manchester City next. Just want to point out, Wolfsburg are still in it, for instance. But thank you for joining me. If you enjoyed this, do like, comment, subscribe. You know the deal. Until next time, ta-ra.